Okay, Austin,
Yep.
good to see you.
Yeah, good to be there.
Yeah, I know that last time we talked, we had a lot going on, and
Yep.
I'm glad that you agreed to sit with us and kind of talk about where we're at. I know that we're not in the best position, but for you being here, it kind of shows me that you kind of want to come to an agreement. Um, I know that there's a lot going on. So, uh, can you maybe run through a little bit your position again on where you're standing with the?
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line is we want this to work.
Mhm.
This by no means is going to hold discount down.
Okay.
But we want to make it work, and if we just can't come to an agreement on Article 22, if you guys can't give us some freedom
Yeah.
that we think we deserve, I just don't think we're going to be a good match.
Gotcha. Yeah. I can understand where you're coming from completely. And for us, um, it makes a really good. Your Article 22 is something that we've talked about quite a bit over the last couple of weeks. And for us, we really want to make this work too. You guys are a phenomenal retailing giant, and it would bring us, some pretty solid customers. What we're really using you for is to generate that clientele, and that's something that's really important to us. And you recognize your position in that, and so do we. Um, when we talk about the Article 22 a little bit, what exactly are you intending to do with that clause? I mean, you're wanting to be able to do what you want, rent who you want to rent out. But what's your goal? I guess
Yeah,
I'm interested.
mainly because you kind of mentioned, we are a corporate giant. We've got over 200 stores. We know what we're doing. The economy goes up, it goes down. Sometimes we need to pivot a little bit, maybe introduce some new products that fall a little bit outside the soft goods, spectrum that we're normally in.
Okay.
Um, it's important to us that we have control over selling the lease, because if for whatever reason discount doesn't perform in the way that we're forecasting it to in the mall, we need to be able to get out from under that financial thumb as soon as possible.
Okay.
And having multiple parties involved in that is just going to take twice as long, and it's something that I can do in a month or a week is going to take up to 6 months with two parties involved, and that could translate into millions of dollars lost on our behalf.
Okay.
So we want control of that, and as far as like subletting goes and leasing, a portion of the store out to sub vendors and things, we just think that that's important. It's something we've done in the past. We've done things like with Rachel Ray. We sell houseware.
Okay.
So we generally want a fourth of the premises that we can use to complement the products that we already sell in the stores.
Okay. Yeah. Because you said that, it brings some things to mind. One of the main things from what you were saying, is that I was also wondering, your history in that area, because, as you said, you dabbled in it a little bit, and it does translate to quite a bit of revenue for you.
Right.
So where I'm coming from, and where we're coming from as a company, is that if we allow you to do this particular thing, it could actually drive down your business, drive down your profit. Essentially, if you start competing with subtenants or subleasers who also occupy the same mall, you would kind of chase away some of their clientele as well. And I know that you have experience in that, but that's something that we're concerned about as well.
Mm-hmm.
I guess what
would you suggest then would be fair for us? Because this is a deal breaker for us if we can't, be able to sublet a quarter of the premises to a complimentary vendor, and we're just not going to be able to come to an agreement.
Right. A good suggestion that we've talked about, and that's something that we've kind of thought about as well. If we can get some notice prior to you just subletting to someone else, it might help us give a little bit of preparation time. So essentially, you would just ask us for approval, written for approval. I know we talked about that in the counter offer that we provided. What are your thoughts on that? Would you folks be able to accommodate that?
I'm okay with certain aspects of that. You mentioned just not being in direct competition. We don't want to squash the little guy. We understand that.
Yeah.
The satellite tenants are important because discount started off as a little guy at some point, and we understand that these satellite tenants pay you rent, and if we squash them because we're in direct competition with them or whatever, then you're making less money. And if you make less money, you're not able to keep the mall up and running, and then we won't have a location in the mall. We understand that. We're willing to play ball.
Okay.
We just want some give and take on both sides.
Okay.
So going to your offer there on this portion of the agreement, we're okay with giving a written notice, and if it'll help you feel at ease, if you can give us a quarter of the portion of the premises, what I'll do is I can make it so you personally, or a member of your team of your choice, they can sit down with me while I'm interviewing the vendors. That way you guys can kind of see if it's going to be a good fit as far as the mood and the setting you guys are trying to keep with the mall. And that way you can also see the products that they're going to be selling in our premises. And, we'll just make sure that I can't guarantee that it's not going to have some competitive edges a little bit, but we can make sure that it's not too competitive and that it would kind of push a satellite out of business.
Yeah, that actually sounds quite in line with where I was thinking, because we don't want to be like we don't want to have we don't want to hold you by your neck kind of thing. We want to make sure that you have the room to first grow, of course make some profit here, and that's just one of our huge concerns is that we'll look at the mall as a whole and you would be like that hub there, and so. Yeah, the tenants are one of our big concerns as well. And so if we can work that out, I think if that works out, then we can definitely figure out another, we can possibly arrange a fourth of that.
Yeah, if we can get that upon those contingencies that we just discussed, I feel like that's fair for both sides as far as that portion of the agreement goes.
Okay.
And like I said, we like to test things in stores and regions before we launch it out nationally. And we're thinking about maybe launching some small household appliances like mini fridges, apartment household dryers, washers, things like that. And we want to be able to introduce those in this location, test it out, and see if it's good. And that does fall a little bit outside that soft goods spectrum. Is that something that's going to be an issue for you guys?
That potentially could be an issue because we really intended for you to bring in the soft good completely. Yeah, that's something that I don't know, we can talk a little bit more about that, but I'd really like to see more soft good things.
Right.
You're going to be testing things. Is there a possibility you can test it at a different location?
Yeah, there's always that possibility, but this location, our guys have determined this is going to be a great location to test that out. So, you know what, I can do the same deal with you as far as before we do decide to test things out in the store, I'll bring you on board, give you a notice on, hey, this is the product we're looking at, introducing. And again, we'll just make sure that it's not too direct in competition with any of the satellites. I mean, I can't imagine you guys have satellites selling fridges in the middle of the mall.
Yeah,
don't really have inventory space for that.
Right.
But if that works for you, again, I think that's a very solid step forward in coming to a complete agreement.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess how much of your products would be soft goods versus these additional? Because
the majority of the store is going to be soft goods. Okay. We'll probably just have a handful of products here and then, and it won't be constantly. It'll just be things here and there that we're just testing out. And if it goes well, we're going to roll it out nationally. It might become a staple at Discount Goods.
Okay.
But it probably wouldn't be more than a handful of products.
Okay. Yeah, if you can let us know, all those small little things that happen and give us advance notice, and then if we can sit on some of those things, I think we can come to a little bit more of agreement for that.
Okay.
I'd be willing to make sure that you can test your products and things like that. Yeah, for us, we're really just wanting to have that soft goods, and so if at all possible, if you can let us know for advancement, we can kind of.
Yeah, like I said, I have no issue with letting you know as soon as I know that we're thinking about testing it out.
Okay.
We just think that it's, you've mentioned that we're the anchor, and we, the company's saying is a lion gets a lion's share, and we think that we're worthy of that. So if we can agree on that, I definitely think, like I said, this is a really huge step forward to making my day better and to actually coming to an ultimate agreement.
Okay. If you can, I guess how much. I mean, you guys are going to be bringing a lot of clientele in for
right.
That's one of the reasons why we want to come to you folks. Right. How much are you anticipating in coming from these products? I guess what is your
we're still doing some forecasting on stuff like that, but really more than anything, we just want the ability and the flexibility to be able to do so. And like I said, it's probably not going to be more than a handful of goods at a time, and I'll keep you in the loop with it.
Okay. I think that's something that we can do. So just to recap, you're wanting to do, okay, you wanted to do, be able to bring in the products you want, sublet for what you need, but you bring us in on that
Right.
process to interview and select candidates and look at that option and see how the overall feel about what will be.
Right.
And so, to be clear, would we be a part of the approval process, or would we be more part of just the sitting and?
Like I said, we're willing to play ball.
Okay.
I don't want to get like some sort of voting going on with the
Right.
different satellite tenants. I just don't think that that's fair on us.
Right.
I'm cool with keeping you personally and
Okay.
maybe another member of your team involved on that process.
Okay, yeah, that's something I think we can do.
Okay. Final thing, that's really important to us is that we have the ability to sell the lease. Like I said, because if we get under a financial thumb, we need to get out. It's very unlikely it's going to happen, but we need that capability, that flexibility to be able to do so. Is that something that works with you guys?
To get out of a lease earlier than.
So if we're failing, we want the ability to sell the lease to somebody else to take over our contract.
Okay, that's something we might need to talk a little bit more about.
Okay.
That's something that, we believe that you guys will do really well.
Right.
I mean, you have the statistics saying that this area is a primary area for you to increase. So we don't feel like that would be a negative approach. I'm sure that we could figure out a different alternative for that, but I don't know if we can really accommodate the selling your lease, because we really want you to be here.
Right.
For the term.
And I'm talking like worst case scenario, if like we're losing money,
Okay.
we just want to be able to sell it to somebody so they can take over and we can relieve ourselves of the financial burden. And following the similar trend that we've kind of been talking about, I can keep you, like I said, I just don't want multiple parties where I've got to go up some chain of command where it's going to take me 6 months to sell a lease. I can keep you involved in that as well. So
Okay.
if I get whiff that we're talking about closing down this location, I'm going to let you know as soon as possible. You could look for some viable candidates to take over the lease. We could look over some viable candidates. We could take one day, meet on it, say, hey, you know what? We think this is going to be the best candidate because it falls along with your guys' mood and setting you're trying to set for them all. I mean, I don't care who we sell the lease to,
Right.
but we don't want to screw you guys over. So I'm willing to keep you in that process.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's something that we talk about as well. I mean, having us in a loop is kind of our big thing, is that we want to make sure that, of course, you guys don't get hurt in this deal, and for us as well, we really have to be in communication if that were to take place, because essentially right now we're taking kind of a risk to come to you folks, even though we know that you guys are the leading, and
Right.
we really feel like you guys will do really well. And so just for me to hear that if this doesn't go well for you, you think about selling the lease, it kind of puts me in a difficult spot, because I want to make sure that we don't have to leave.
Right. I mean, we're going to do everything we can to
Okay.
stay, and like I said, it's a very, very unlikely event.
Okay.
And I mean, the only way that I see us leaving this location is if we're not performing as far as revenue goes.
Okay. And how much? I guess what would determine that? Like
I mean, if we start losing money, yeah.
Okay.
If we start losing money, because it's a 25-year contract, so if we're in a location that we're literally losing money, we can't stay in there for 25 years.
Gotcha. Okay. Can we do a minimum of a certain amount of years? So I know your 25-year contract, but
Right.
can we do at least?
Well, I'll tell you what. We can do a minimum revenue. So as soon as we hit our break even, if we go 6 consecutive months without surpassing that, then we'll have the ability to get out from under the lease. However, if we can't find someone to take over the lease, I mean, legally, I'm obligated. I can't just not pay the rent because we're in that contract.
Mhm.
But as long as you can promise me that you'll put your top guy, whether it's you or somebody else, and making this a priority in the sense that if we do need to get out, that you're going to work with us and find
Mhm.
somebody, then I think we've got a deal.
Okay, I think I can do that.
All right, perfect. Well, we'll get everything drawn up, Moku.
All right.
Thanks.
Okay.